The story begins with a man named Takumi Kayano in a dense forest, reflecting on how, until a few hours ago, he was just an ordinary person. Now, he finds himself surrounded by monsters in another world. The monsters, known as red wolves, are C-rank beasts. Takumi efficiently kills them all using his skill called air shot and stores their remains in his inventory. Takumi then recounts how he ended up in this situation. A few hours earlier, he had encountered someone who apologized to him. Confused, Takumi asked who the person was and where they were. The person introduced himself as Sil, a god, and explained that they were in a part of the divine land. Initially skeptical, Takumi wondered if it was some sort of scam, but Sil assured him it was not. Surprised that Sil could read his thoughts, Takumi asked for an explanation. Sil revealed that he had made a mistake and accidentally killed Takumi while trying to repair a tear in the space-time continuum. Sil had put too much power into the repair, inadvertently causing Takumi's death on the other side of the tear. Sil explained that Takumi's life in his original world ended when he was 28 years old. The body he now inhabits is one that Sil created, and this new world is called Atalia, which Sil governs. Takumi's new body is equipped with the basic knowledge of this world, including its language and various skills. Checking his stats, Takumi notices that he is at level 3, likely having leveled up from defeating the red wolf. Suddenly, he hears noises from the bushes. Initially wary of another monster, he is surprised to find two small children. They appear lost, and when he tries to ask about their parents, they shy away in fear. Unsure of what to do, Takumi discovers that the children are hungry. He offers them some fruit from his inventory, showing them how to eat it. Once they taste it, they eagerly consume the fruit. Noticing their tattered clothes, Takumi finds children's clothing in his inventory and dresses them in the new attire. He then tells the children he plans to leave the forest and head to the city, inviting them to join him. The children remain silent, so Takumi introduces himself and asks for their names, but they do not respond, suspecting they might be mute. He uses his appraisal skill to check their stats. He learns that both children are 5 years old and nameless. Takumi decides to name the boy Alan and the girl Elena, asking them to come with him. The children follow, showing impressive stamina, though Takumi anticipates needing frequent breaks. Suddenly, the twins run ahead, and Takumi is alarmed to see monsters in their path. Although tempted to use magic, he fears hitting the children and watches in amazement as they defeat the monsters using martial arts skills. When the twins return, he asks if they sense the monsters ahead. They nod, and Takumi instructs them to inform him first if they detect anything from now on. They agree, and the group continues toward the city. As they travel, Takumi reflects that the children's strength makes sense given their survival in the dangerous forest. When they encounter another monster, the children notify Takumi before swiftly defeating it. He praises their efforts and pats their heads. Throughout the journey, the twins handle all the monsters they encounter, allowing Takumi to relax. In the evening, Takumi finds a suitable camping spot. He instructs the children to gather dry branches, which they do, and they make a fire. They cook and eat some meat, and Takumi notices the children starting to smile, indicating they are warming up to him. That night, they sleep inside a magical barrier for protection. The next day, they reach the city. At the gates, they tell the guards they came from the Forest of Gaia. The guards are incredulous, as the Forest of Gaia is known to be extremely dangerous, recommended only for ranky adventurers. Takumi understands their skepticism, especially since he has 2 children with him. He explains that he left his village to search for herbs and did not venture far into the forest. He also mentions that the children are strong enough to protect themselves. The guards then ask if he obtained the herbs, to which Takumi replies affirmatively. Finally, the guards request to see their identity cards. Takumi acknowledges the kids' help and rewards them for their efforts. He praises them, calling them amazing. Suddenly, a rude bald adventurer barges in and yells at the kids, demanding to know what they're doing there. Takumi calmly explains that he brought them, asking if there's a problem. The bald adventurer, Baldy, insists that the place isn't for kids. Takumi points out that there's no age limit and the kids aren't causing any trouble. Baldy retorts that he simply doesn't like seeing them there and starts getting aggressive. In response, the kids quickly overpower him. Takumi intervenes, asking Luna if there will be any punishment for their actions. Luna assures him it was self-defense. At that moment, the guard from earlier arrives, surprised by the commotion. Takumi notices the kids are crying and asks what's wrong. They plead with him not to leave them. Realizing they think this because he yelled at them, Takumi reassures them that he will never leave them. After calming the kids, the guard asks what happened, and Takumi recounts the entire story. The god introduces himself as Grand Vault Loan, or Vault for short, and reveals that he is the second captain of the knights in the city of Shireen. Vault asks if the kids were crying out of fear, and Takumi explains that they thought he would abandon them. Vault wonders why they would think that, and Takumi clarifies that they aren't his children. He just met them in the forest of Gaia, which makes them insecure. Both Luna and Vault are shocked to hear that the kids were in the forest of Gaia. Takumi speculates that they might have been abandoned or got lost there. Luna recalls a recent attack on a slave trader group from the Algo Kingdom by monsters from the forest of Gaia. Vault suggests that the kids might have been left as decoys. Takumi isn't sure, but asks if there would be any issue with him taking care of them. Vault assures him it's fine, noting how attached the kids have become to him. Luna, excitedly, asks Takumi if he brought any materials from the forest of Gaia. Takumi confirms he has some red wolf items, which makes Luna ecstatic. He sells the materials to her, receiving a substantial amount of money in return. Vault then explains he is at the guild to discuss an expedition to the Gaia forest, which they periodically undertake to prevent monster overflow. Vault mentions their constant need for more adventurers, particularly ranked ones, and suggests Takumi should join them. Takumi protests, saying he is only F-ranked, but Vault dismisses this, pointing out that Takumi defeated a red wolf alone. Takumi regrets mentioning the red wolf, and Vault goes to speak with the guild master. Vault requests adventurers for the expedition as usual, and also specifically asks for Takumi Keanu. The guild master is unfamiliar with the name, and Vault explains that Takumi is a newbie. The guild master is surprised that Vault wants to include a rookie, but acknowledges that Takumi, despite being new, isn't a beginner. Days pass, and Takumi becomes accustomed to life in Adeldia. He notes that the twins are also getting more comfortable interacting with strangers. They adopt a routine of taking a day off after 2 days of quests, continuing their adventures. During a meal, Takumi thinks about the good bread they have, missing the various flavors from his previous world. He decides to make them himself and shares his idea with the twins, who are excited. They visit Golden Bakery, where the shopkeeper, Michelle, asks what he wants. Takumi explains he has a favor to ask and is introduced to Rode, Michelle's father and the store owner. Takumi proposes making a different type of bread, showing jars of jam and custard cream from his inventory. Rode, intrigued, agrees to try. Takumi demonstrates how to knead dough and add fillings. Rode and Michelle, along with Alan and Elena, join in. Takumi also introduces red bean paste as a filling option. They bake the bread, and everyone enjoys it. Rode asks if they can sell the bread in their store, offering Takumi credits and profits. Takumi declines, saying he would be happy just to eat the bread anytime. Rode is pleased, and they plan to make more bread the next day. Takumi asks the twins if they like the bread, and they enthusiastically say they want more. The following day, Takumi visits the guild again. Luna informs him that he has advanced to rank E. Takumi checks his level, now at 13, and anticipates more diverse job opportunities. Luna asks if he has been to the labyrinth yet. Takumi recalls that there are 108 labyrinths in this world, according to the knowledge Syl gave him. Luna mentions an underground labyrinth near Shirin with 15 floors, a popular spot for acclimated adventurers. Takumi asks the twins if they want to explore the labyrinth, and they are excited. Luna is surprised they plan to go immediately, noting it takes half a day to reach and several days to explore fully. Takumi clarifies that they will only check out the first and second floors for now. The scene shifts to the labyrinth, where they have already reached the third floor. Takumi credits Alan and Elena for guiding him accurately, preventing them from getting lost. He reviews his information, learning that this is an Earth-type labyrinth. They encounter a ground mole, which Takumi deems weak enough for the kids to handle. To his surprise, the kids have already defeated it. The monster disappears, and Takumi explains that defeated monsters in the labyrinth leave dropped items. The kids search for the items, and Takumi finds a mole's whisker, which disappoints him. They continue exploring the labyrinth and eventually stop for a meal. Takumi takes out a magic stove and mentions that with it, they can enjoy warm meals anywhere. He prepares some vegetable soup, and they all savor the food. After eating, they set up a barrier and fall asleep. The next day, the trio continues exploring the labyrinth, defeating all the monsters they encounter along the way. They stop for meals and rest, repeating this cycle for several days until they reach the 10th floor. There, they discover a hidden treasure chest. Takumi warns the twins that treasure chests can contain either amazing or dangerous items. After checking for traps and finding none, he allows the twins to open it. Inside, they find 2 potions, one for recovering mana and the other for stamina. Takumi notes that these are just low-level items with limited contents. The twins then spot a monster outside the hidden room and promptly defeat it, obtaining its hide as a drop. The twins wonder if the hide is a rare item, but Takumi explains that it's only of moderate value. He reflects on the twins' incredible perception and martial arts skills, marveling at their ability to navigate the labyrinth and find monsters quickly. He feels fortunate that they are not under the control of the authorities, understanding that this is what Syl must have been concerned about. He briefly feels like he is taking advantage of the kids. They encounter a venomous clay snake next, and Takumi tells the twins that he will handle it. Using his rock throw skill combined with wind cutter, he defeats the snake. When giant bees appear, the twins express their desire to fight them, and Takumi lets them. The bees are nimble, dodging the twins' attacks, which leads Takumi to think they might be struggling. However, he soon realizes the twins are just playing with the bees. As they play, Takumi sorts through their collected items and finds some slime jelly. He wonders if he can use it for something. Meanwhile, the twins defeat the bees one by one, collecting honey as a drop item, which they hand to Takumi. He informs them that honey is valuable in Italdia and suggests they should find and defeat as many giant bees as possible. The twins agree, and more giant bees appear. They easily defeat them. Afterwards, Takumi cooks something with Alan and Elena's help. He adds honey on top, creating French toast. They all find it delicious. More giant bees show up, and Takumi uses air shot to defeat them, though they keep coming. He realizes the bees are attracted to the smell of honey, meaning they'll have plenty of honey as they continue. After gathering a substantial amount of honey, they resume exploring and eventually reach the lowest floor. At the final boss room, they find a large door and enter. The door closes behind them, and a giant earthworm appears. Takumi realizes they must defeat it to escape. He tells the twins to leave it to him and uses wind blades, but the earthworm dodges. It attacks with sand balls, which Takumi destroys with air shot before firing a wind arrow to defeat it. Surprised by how easily he won, Takumi speculates that this must be a lower-ranked labyrinth. He considers that his abilities might be overpowered. The defeated earthworm drops a fawn, a fairy stone, and some worm meat. Takumi is disgusted to learn that worm meat is a premium ingredient. He checks on the twins, who are fine, and commend him by patting his head. A secret door opens in the boss room, revealing a teleportation device that can take them directly to the first floor. They also find a treasure chest containing fire bombs, which Takumi likens to hand grenades. He stops the twins from playing with them. They use the teleportation device to exit the labyrinth, and Takumi suggests heading back to the city. On the way, the twins spot a dog, which Takumi quickly realizes is a wolf. He remains cautious, but notices the wolf acting like a pet. Since Alan and Elena don't find it suspicious, he decides it must not be dangerous. Using appraisal, he discovers it's a Fenrir, an S-ranked monster meant to be his summoned beast. Takumi doesn't recall making a contract with any monster. Suspecting it's Sill's doing, he asks the beast if it's a summon, confirming that it is and noticing it follows his every command. The twins hug the beast, finding it cute and fluffy. They ask Takumi to name it, and he chooses Jewel. As they approach the city, Takumi explains that they can't bring Jewel into the city, as people would panic at the sight of a monster. He tells Jewel to hide in his shadow for now. He explains that summoning is considered dark magic, and summoned beasts are usually hidden in shadows, so they can be called upon when needed. The scene shifts to Takumi at the church, where he talks to Sill. Sill mentions feeling lonely because Takumi hadn't visited for a while. Takumi explains that he's there to ask about the summon. Sill is confused at first, then realizes it must have been the god of water who sent the Fenrir. Sill laments that it isn't fair, as he was supposed to send Takumi a familiar first. He promises to send one soon, and Takumi will find it in the meadow outside the city the next day. Takumi wonders why the god of water sent him a familiar, and Sill explains that they probably wanted to thank him, likely related to Elena and Alan, who have water magic. Sill hands Takumi additional items from the god of water, surprising him with their number. Sill mentions that more items will be sent soon. Takumi protests, but Sill warns that refusing might result in a curse, leaving Takumi no choice but to accept. The scene cuts to Takumi sleeping at the inn. The next day, they head to the meadow and find a tiger and some kind of bird there. One of them was a flying tiger, an S-rank monster that controls the wind and flies freely through the skies. The other was a thunder hawk, a golden hawk that uses thunder magic and possesses enviable speed. Takumi decided to name the tiger Feet and the hawk Bolt. Sill had already sent collars for the animals, so they were properly equipped and domesticated to join the White Wings. To avoid any issues among people, these collars could shrink along with the pets, making them look like kittens and puppies. The children were intrigued by the collars and asked to wear them too. However, Takumi explained it wasn't a good idea for them to use such accessories, as people would look strangely at an adult with kids wearing pet collars on the street. Alan and Elena were sad they couldn't share the pet's accessories. So, Takumi gave them necklaces with angel pendants, which are resistant to magical attacks. Besides that, they received pursuit rings, which reveal the user's position on a map. Finally, he gifted each of them with a magical pouch, so they could collect items during their adventures. With everything done, Takumi announced it was time to return to the city. He called back Bolt and kept Feet and Jewel in their smaller forms. Once they arrived, Elena was enchanted by a shop window full of presents. Takumi took the kids inside the store and asked the saleswoman if the available ribbons could be used as hair decorations. For 50 gold coins each, he bought the ribbons to style Elena's hair. When she saw her transformation in the mirror, it was love at first sight. Seeing how happy she was, Takumi asked her to choose another ribbon. Elena picked a black one because it was the color of her father's hair. The saleswoman asked if the girl chose that color because she loved her dad, and Elena confirmed with a yes, making Takumi very pleased. Then he asked Alan if he wanted anything, but Alan felt that kind of ribbon didn't match his style, so he shook his head. Seizing the festive mood, The saleswoman offered to let the kids try on some new clothes. Soon, they were showing off their charm in the shop's most modern outfits. Takumi asked if the woman made all those clothes herself, and she confirmed that she also did sewing work. Among all the clothes, the twins liked the ones with animal ears the most, so Takumi bought them to please his children. At night, while the kids were sound asleep, their guardian pondered about something special to buy for Alan, just like he did for Alina. He started to consider what would be nice to give a boy. In his childhood, Takumi only received items that didn't exist in this world, like video games, toy cars, and trading cards, so he felt lost trying to find something suitable. The next day, he was woken by his children's usual excitement, now with the added fun of having animals join the party. Today, the anticipation was even higher because it would be the first day they would go on an expedition to Gaia Forest with Vol. To complete this mission, the White Wings had to reduce the number of monsters posing a threat to the forest by investigating nests and eliminating them. When they reached the captain, the children became a bit shy again, especially when a stranger approached their father to introduce himself as the vice captain. His name was Isaac Rissner, and while he seemed welcoming of the adults' participation, he questioned whether the children would really be safe in a hostile, rank environment. Vol tried to break the ice, commenting that the kids were stronger than they looked. But Alan and Elena reacted by hiding, even more behind their guardian's legs. Takumi apologized for the children's shyness and tried to encourage them to come out of their shells, but it seemed it would take some time for them to lower their guard. In any case, Vol announced they would use carriages to get to Gaia Forest and asked everyone to board. Takumi noticed someone staring at them strangely, sensing his children's unease. He realized they had also picked up on some hostility, presuming it was because some adventurers didn't accept the presence of children on such expeditions. On the way to the mission, Isaac explained it would take about an hour to reach the forest. Takumi told the kids it might be a boring ride, but they were fine with it. Two adventurers started to encourage the children, saying they looked forward to working as a team with the little ones. This left the kids looking astonished, as if feeling the weight of responsibility on their shoulders. As the carriage moved, Takumi felt they were getting more comfortable, much to his relief. Soon, they arrived at the edge of Gaia Forest, and Vol announced his 5-day hunting plan, with each of the 3 battalions taking different routes to reach the camp. First, the captain introduced Takumi to the group of adventurers joining the cavalry. Their leader was Rudolph from Dragon Breath, who was eager to work with all the expedition members. The girl was named Iris, the boy in the green shirt was Gilm, and the one in blue was Zack. Rudolph was a rank adventurer, so Takumi was impressed and eager to work with such a high-level individual. With that, Vol called everyone to set off. Along the way, the twins demonstrated their perceptive abilities by identifying the presence of nearby enemies. Takumi warned that a monster was coming from the left, even though no one else could see it. Ironically, Gilm's detection magic, which relied on a magical signal, failed to pick up anything, while the twins' pure perception was far more effective at sensing nearby hostilities. After a while, Gilm finally detected the presence, and the group went into combat mode. Soon, a red wolf emerged from the forest. Unlike the others, Alan and Elena were delighted by the animal's presence and ran to play with it, reminding Takumi that he had forgotten to tell them to stay quietly in a corner. Alan kicked the beast, followed by Elena, and together they defeated the enemy in mere seconds, leaving everyone in awe. As usual, Takumi patted the children's heads to praise their victory, but asked them to rest and let the others have a turn at hunting as well. Meanwhile, Vol wanted to know what he had just witnessed, since red wolves are rank sea creatures. Takumi mentioned the day when the twins took down an adult man at the Adventurers Guild. Although it was indeed an impressive scene, the captain thought it had only happened because the man had let his guard down. He didn't believe these kids were true killing machines capable of taking down wild beasts with just a kick. Takumi recalled finding the twins in Gaia's forest, which left the adventurers in shock at the fact that 2 kids had survived in such a dangerous place. This explained a lot about the impressive strength the 2 little ones displayed. Amidst all this, Syl was observing the journey and regretted having put Takumi in this situation. All he could hope for was that the one sent to this world would succeed in his mission. He prayed to the gods for the trio's safety. Alan and Elena threatened this safety by suddenly running into the forest, prompting their father to chase after them to see what had happened. It turned out they had found spirit grass, a medicinal herb with magical properties that also serves as an ingredient for potions. Despite receiving more head pats for finding the item, Takumi reminded them again that they couldn't run around the forest like crazy. But with their sad, adorable faces, he gave in and let them take a stroll deeper into the woods. Soon, they found slimy rock moss, an effective remedy for itching, but one that could cause rashes if it came into direct contact with the skin. Isaac remembered when his captain used this moss to treat his itching fits. Vol got excited to collect as much of this ingredient as possible, but before he could touch it, Isaac warned him about the rashes and scolded his superior, pointing out that even the children were smarter for calling an adult before touching the plant. Takumi found this dynamic between the 2 odd, but one of the adventurers explained it had always been like that. To make matters worse, the scolding seemed to last over an hour, so Takumi called the kids and asked them to do something discreetly. The twins pulled Isaac's cloak and handed him a bag of the moss, making the vice captain overjoyed with the gift from the little ones, which made him forget to reprimand Vol. Once again, Alan and Elena restored peace with their varied skills. However, peace was short-lived as a high orc approached, accompanied by 6 smaller orcs. Rudolph committed to dealing with the chief enemy, while Takumi also joined the fight. Vol doubted Takumi could handle an orc, but Takumi proved otherwise by taking down one of the monsters with his classic wind cutter. Meanwhile, the captains fought off the rest of the orcs, and Rudolph battled their leader. After the victory, Vol demanded an explanation of how the supposedly inexperienced adventurer had annihilated an orc in a single move. The twins didn't like the captain's approach and glared at him like angry dogs. Nonetheless, Vol discovered that Takumi's rank F was a sham and suggested Rudolph adjust the rank once they returned to the Adventurers Guild. Takumi didn't understand how Rudolph could raise his rank just by asking. Rudolph explained that a recommendation from a higher-level adventurer was enough for the guild master to raise someone's rank depending on the case. Returning to the recent battle, the rank adventurer noted that many orcs were at the forest's edge, and that the atmosphere around was oddly calm. Isaac shared the same concern, considering it a bad omen for such a group of monsters to be there. With a serious face, Vol announced a full investigation, which was interrupted by the twins asking their uncle for a cool snack. During the meal, the captain questioned how Takumi had obtained ghost bread, named for its extreme rarity in bakeries. Takumi explained that the baker had made it personally for him, leaving Vol envious enough to ask the children for a bite. When they refused, their guardian had no choice but to provide another loaf for the big kid, deciding to share it with the entire expedition team. Later, they saw a red flare in the sky and hurried to check the emergency. To get there faster, Takumi used wind magic to carry Alan and Elena with him. Lurking, they spotted 4 blood wolves chasing another group of humans. These wolves were a more advanced race than the red wolf. With injured people in the field, Takumi decided to debut his water katana and fought the wolves alongside the twins. The victory was so swift that the rest of the team arrived with everything already resolved. Surprised to see that Takumi was much stronger than he had imagined, Vol teased that the boy was too skinny to seem so powerful, causing the children to growl at him again. Afterward, Takumi and the children sensed another dangerous presence, this time even more powerful. This brings an end to our episode 3. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more anime recaps.